north of 60. I'm Heidi Schweighofer. Today my guest is Shawn Marquand. Shawn owns his own remodeling business and has for 15 years. His office is in Medina, but he does remodeling and rebuilding all over Northeast Ohio. An interesting fact I just learned, his great-grandfather originally started the business back in 1869, and some of the homes he built in Lakewood still exist. Pretty cool. Shawn, thank you for being here.
Sure.
All right, now here's what we're going to do first. Let's talk about overall remodeling. What can I expect? What can I expect in terms of cost, in terms of the contract that I would have with you, in terms of weather, who coming in and out? Can I use my kitchen and bathroom? Tell me the whole banana in your eyes.
I guess it depends on what we're there to do. We specialize mostly in kitchens, baths, small additions, things like that. Normally when I come in, I'll come in and go over the project with you and see what you want to do in the house. I have some normal run-of-the-mill questions that I'll ask as far as, what you want to replace, what you don't want to replace. Then we get into whether lighting, want to change the lighting, if it's a bathroom, exhaust fans, tubs, versus, taking the bathtub out that's in there and making it a shower for easier access. But when I go through with all my notes and all my questions, I'll write up a quote and send that over, and whatever there is that the client picks out, I'll have an allowance in there, because we don't know exactly what it is that they want as far as like tile, faucets, things like that, flooring. So we don't know, but I'll just go educated guess of, what I know from, doing this for years and years.
So you give them a quote for the labor and the job, but then an allowance for
the
material stuff. Okay.
So, because it'll depend on, what type of flooring you want to go with. For example, if you want to do, right now a lot of luxury vinyl planking is the end thing, which I love that stuff.
Oh, it looks so different from what it did even 10 years ago. It's so realistic looking.
It is.
I love it.
And it's water. Most of them are waterproof.
Good for pets.
Good for pets, for
dogs.
bathrooms, or because of waterproofing. So that depends, because that costs differently than ceramic tile or hardwood. There's some things have more labor to install them, and some things have less labor. So I try to narrow down when I'm there for the first time, finding out what the client wants to have. If they say they want ceramic tile right off the bat, then I know to budget for that labor for putting that in, because that's usually the highest labor for flooring. And
do you quote a length of time also?
It really depends on what they want to do.
Let's say they want to add on an addition, like a sunroom or a something off the back.
Bedroom, something, yeah.
Yeah, bedroom.
I generally, from start to finish, there's a whole process, because obviously we need drawings. Those need to be approved by the city. With my company, we're not a huge company. I have 5 employees. So we're going to need, if it has electrical, then we need my electrician. I hire him as a subcontractor to come in for that. Plumbing, we have a plumber that comes in for if there's plumbing involved for like an addition, like adding a kitchen or a bathroom. So I'd say the process, it really depends on the size of the addition. We just did a small 16 by 16 bedroom addition, and it was up and pretty much done in probably about a month and a half to 2 months. But there's a lot of other things in between that we were, for example, the windows took 3 months to get in.
I've been hearing about, so how is the supply, I know I'm jumping here a little bit.
Okay.
How has the supply chain affected you? I have heard horror stories about window siding, lumber,
It's been lumber, the prices on things have gone up a lot, and then they've kind of gone and waved around too. So they're on their way back up again. They went down last late or early fall. But it depends on what it is. These specific windows had to be ordered because of what they wanted, so they were about 3 months for those. Cabinetry generally is running about 19 to 22 weeks, depending on the manufacturer.
No
So,
kidding.
yeah. So, and yeah. So that's usually, I tell people once we sign a contract, that's the first thing you need to pick out, so we can get that ordered, rolling,
Right.
and going on from there.
Do you work with the customer on a routine basis? You know, okay, now you need to order your cabinetry, and then you want to pick out your handles, and here's do you give them suggestions?
Yeah. Well,
Or do you-
design-wise, I'll help them out, and I'll kind of let them know what's, what we've done in the past, what's in style. But I'll give them okay, well, first thing we need to do is pick out, for example, if it's a kitchen, the first thing to pick is cabinets, because they take so long to get them. Handles are generally, depending on what they pick, those are usually a week to get in, so they're not that bad.
Okay.
Countertops, normally I would explain that, they can't, if you're going to go with granite, quartz, things like that, they have to be templated, and they won't template that until we have the cabinets installed, because they have to come out, and they generally use a laser and template the countertops. From that point, they take about, depending on the company, 2 to 3 weeks to have them installed, fabricated and installed then. Oh. So it's kind of a lot of times we're gone.
Yeah. Well, but it's out of your control. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a thing you can do about the fact
No.
that cabinets take that long. What do people do if they're redoing their kitchen? Do they have to move out of the house, or do they figure out how to wash their dishes in the bathtub? Or
Yes.
yes,
Laundry tub, we'll try to make things convenient. There's been some occasions where if the countertops are taking especially long, there's certain brands that might take a little longer to fabricate. We'll put a temporary sink in on top of the new cabinets.
Oh, what a nice idea!
Yeah, so that they have something to work with. For the most part, it depends on their house layout. I mean, if they have the laundry rooms right off the kitchen, and they don't mind they use the laundry tub. So
And a microwave.
Yeah, and we set the microwave up wherever if they're buying a new one, we'll take their old one and set it up for them somewhere else. We'll move the refrigerator into another room so they can still use that. And then when the new appliances arrive, depending on what they're doing, if they're going to keep the old stuff, we hook it all back up again too. So once
Okay.
we're all done.
It's disruptive no matter what you're doing.
Yes.
And I think that has been our experience as well. We added a sunroom, and it was just a plain disruptive, kind of a mess for a while.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we just put it in our heads that it will be beautiful at the end, and this is what we
Yeah.
have to do now. But it is inconvenient for people, I think, and they
Yes.
need to kind of understand that. How close do you think you are with your quotes? And I'm only asking because the standing joke is, you say $1,000, but it really means $1,500.
Generally with my quotes, labor is pretty close. That generally doesn't change much, unless while we're there, somebody says, "Hey, while you're here, can you, do this over here
Oh,
too?"
yeah.
The biggest thing is material-wise, and I try to put in. What I normally do for an allowance is I put in a name brand, middle of the road allowance. And I'll go over, that's part of the questions I'll have when I'm in the house. If someone, for example, like a faucet, mentions that they want, oil rub bronze for the finish on their faucet. Well, I know right off the bat that costs almost twice the cost of chrome. So I'll make their allowance higher. So
Okay.
hopefully it doesn't screw up their budget when they look at it all, but it really comes down to what they pick out.
Okay.
So I try to go with the middle of the road area, unless they mention, well, I know, for example, countertops, quartz cost more than granite, or can cost more than granite. So if they say, well, we want quartz, then I know right off the bat that I'll put a lighter,
Start
higher.
pricing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still going to depend on what they want, because, for example, Cambria has 3 different price points in their quartz. So until they pick it, we don't know.
I
So.
bet your experience helps you enormously in this business. Honestly, Shawn, just being able to kind of lead people down the, you know, this is middle of the road, this is going to cost more, this is going to cost less, here's how you can save some money perhaps.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice thing to have in the person who's doing the remodeling.
Yes, and we don't put in, so we've never put in like builder's grade. You know, for example, like if we're like doing a bathroom and replacing the fan, chances are we're replacing the builder's grade fan they put in when they built the house. It sounds like a jet engine. And
we have two of them.
Yes, yeah. So we'll generally, just without question, I just put in a little bit nicer one. It's not the top of the line, but it's not the builder's grade jet engine, and they're usually quieter, and so. But just for examples like that, when it comes to everything else, the homeowner's picking it out.
All right.
So tile, flooring, the paint color. We usually go to Sherwin-Williams for our paint.
Yep. Seems like everybody does.
Yeah.
The world. Shawn, do you ever decide on a start date? I don't know how to put this, according to what the weather is going to be. For example, if I said in December, well, I want an extra bedroom off the back of our house and I'd like you to get started anytime now. Are you realistically telling people, well, it's the middle of the winter?
Yes, we can, hope for the best, plan for the worst. But I mean, if we end up hitting like we did a month ago or so, where the temperatures are, if the ground's too hard, we can't dig. The excavator, is going to have a hard time with that. That and pouring concrete, we can't do that in the winter. I mean, it can be done, but it depends on how quickly they want to do things.
Okay.
So.
Inside jobs, great, but adding
inside jobs, So I mean, normally we try to do a lot of protection when we go in a house. If they have carpeting, then generally we'll I call it saran wrap the floor.
Put that plastic stuff. Oh,
down,
good.
So.
My God, it can get dirty.
Yes.
And there's just nothing. You just have to accept it. I think for me that drywall dust just about.
Yeah. So we'll put plastic up and try to contain it the best we can. I mean, we've taped off rooms. We use the zipper doors sometimes.
Oh, good idea.
And it still seems to creep.
It does.
So
it comes through.
So yeah, I explain that to people. I'm like, we do the best we can, but it creeps out.
Yeah.
So.
Just get a good cleaning service when it's all done, and they can. Do you ever have to deal with homeowner association issues?
I kind of dropped that into the homeowners side of things that they need to do.
Okay.
Normally, no. But I know that each homeowners association is going to be different with their, what they require. I mean, I've been to some places I've heard that they painted their front door a certain color, and somebody had complained because it wasn't in compliance with the other, other buildings. So it really depends on each one.
But you expect the homeowner to deal with that?
Generally, I tell them to ask because they have access to the names and numbers of their. So I mean, we've run across where we've done. We finished a basement and they wanted a bedroom. So with that, you need a means of egress.
Right.
And we could not come out further than 3 feet from the house. So they found that out through the homeowners association.
So scrap the bedroom.
So well, we were still able to do it. We still were able to find a compliant. Well.
Good.
Fit, so,
good.
Yeah.
I want to talk about those of us who are getting older and want to stay in our own homes. And here in Hudson, as you probably have noted, most of the homes are 2-story. And especially down in the old village area, they're 2-story and historic. And the rooms are rather small because they were built so many years ago. I have a 2-story house, and I think in the future, will I always be able to climb the flights of stairs to go to bed or use the bathroom up there? And so I guess that what I'd like to talk to you about is what are the easy things I can do in my home now, and what are the bigger things that I should be thinking about doing if I want to stay there and not downsize and have to move away?
I guess some of the simpler things, which falls into more like a handyman category, would be, grab bars for getting in, things like that. For depending on the steps you have, some of the older steps, after a while, either concrete sinking or raising, and they're going from the regular code height to something atrociously high that you can't step up on.
And there's no railings outside to get
yeah,
into the house.
no
In our
railings.
house, on either, we have to go up steps no matter what door we come in.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's no railings. Should we be installing outdoor railings?
That's
also?
yeah. We've done that in the past. Yeah, we can install the outdoor railings. I mean, the next step, I guess, would be, especially if you're you have to worry about a wheelchair, would be a ramp, an ADA ramp to get into the house with that. But really, for the most part, getting in, grab bars are a biggie. Making sure you don't have any trip hazards in the house, as far as different levels of floor height. Or being able to tapering it so there's not like a little trip hazard in there. From there, then, as far as bathrooms go, taking your bathtub out and making it a shower.
A lot of showers have a ledge, and is there so what do people in a wheelchair do, or people on a walker if they can't maybe lift their feet to
So
get?
there's two different versions. If you have the room, you can put a shower in that's large enough to be able to take, it's ADA compliant, where you can roll in with a wheelchair. Generally, you need a lot of space, and that's usually for a larger bathroom to be able to do that. So that, or a smaller shower area, a transfer shower. It still has a lower threshold on it that you can go into, but it's made with a seat inside. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can roll up and scoot over onto the seat. If you don't have the space, because for a full-size wheel-in, it's a pretty good-sized shower that you need that for.
So you can take. What about those bathtubs that you can walk in and then you close the door and they fill up? Have you ever seen any of those?
We have. We haven't installed very many of those over the years. They're very nice. They're very expensive. So
Are
it
they
really
very? I wonder
yeah.
how.
It really depends on what you want to do with them. I know they come in all different varieties, as far as because once you're in there, you have to fill it up with water. So you're sitting there filling it with water, waiting.
Freezing.
Yeah, freezing, yes. So you have to wait for that to fill up, obviously, or else unless you're just in there, you can use. Usually they have a handheld for rinsing off and showering.
But
that
then
way
you've got to
too.
wait for all the water to drain to get out, right?
Yes.
So
but
you're
a lot of them
freezing
have
again.
pumps to do that. But then you're also relying on your old plumbing, and depending on how old your home is, making sure everything is going quickly out of your drains. So, but
My father wanted one of those in the worst way, and he did have this is in Michigan, and he did have a contractor come out, and all of the bathrooms, because it was a 1953 ranch home, were very small.
Yeah.
And the salesperson was, "Oh, you're going to love this." The contractor was, "Let's think about this. Your plumbing is from 1953." So
Yes.
it ended up being potentially incredibly expensive, because they would have to
Yes,
replace some of
they
the
are.
plumbing. And then the picture of my father finally got it in his head, sitting there, freezing to death, waiting for the water to fill up, and then the water to.
yes. I mean, if you like baths, I guess that would be the way to go. We do a lot of. That's one of the things that we do quite a bit, is in a home where back in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, they put in the big
jet
tub,
bath.
yes.
Oh my God, yes.
And nobody, it seems like, uses them that much. So
No.
we take those out and put in a large shower. And we can put a seat in there, or a corner seat, and with a handheld wand for being able to shower yourself while you're sitting.
That's a
versus
really
having
good
the
idea.
door. So, and I know the cost of doing that it's very nice. It's usually all custom, but it's still far lower than buying one of the indoor units. Yeah.
Walk-in tubs.
Yeah, but I do what people want. So
What do you do if you walk into, especially one of our older homes here in Hudson, and there's different level floors. You step up to go into the living room. You step down to go into the kitchen. The flooring in the kitchen is old linoleum. There's carpet here, and there's maybe some wood over here. So you go in I'm 75 years old and I say, Shawn, I want to stay in my home 10 more years. What are the things that you're going to look at? First, the bathroom, okay? I want to be able to get in and out of a shower, so we covered that. What other things do I need to have in my home? How do you fix floors so that they're all one level?
I guess it would have to be I hate to say a case by case, depending on what they have. I mean, if you're stepping up, steps, 8 inches increments, I mean, there's not really much you can do because depending on the height of the ceilings, they're probably all the same. We have in the past, not necessarily for like an older home, just to make it that way, we did some work on a house, and for whatever reason, I think it was an addition, and they had a step down, but their ceiling was still the same height as the rest of the house. It was a little bit higher in there, and we built the floor up 8 inches.
Oh, good.
Which worked out, but I think that was probably more of a rare incident just because, normally if you build up the floor that much, you're going to notice some difference in the ceiling.
Sure.
But I'd say if short of that, back to the grab bars, being able to help getting up and in with those, going up in the steps. Maybe changing, depending on the floor with like a trip hazard, whether you go from carpet to tile. Sometimes I know in some of the older homes, they just kept building up the floor, and you have like a 1-inch little step to step over all the time, and it's easy to trip on that because you're expecting smooth.
Right.
So we would probably, take things out all the way down to the subfloor and then rebuild that from there, trying to match the other room.
Okay.
So.
What about lighting? We like lamps. Mm-hmm. My husband he'll hate me for saying this on here, but he can't see as well as I can. And so he always is turning on overhead lights. So, do you would you come in and say, well, hey, maybe you need brighter lights or more lights or lights that I can control when I'm sitting, I don't know. I mean, what would...
Yeah, I like lights. I like things lit. So I'm the same way, in order for seeing. So we do a lot of recessed lights, from the ceiling. But then, you can't, as far as I'm concerned, you can't have too many. You can always put them on a dimmer. So
right, that's right, I think too.
So yeah, but we do that a lot with do
you light stairs or light any?
We have in the past put lights on stairs. It really, I guess it's a case by case, a house by house situation, and if it's financially feasible to get next to the stairs and be able to get in there without tearing up the rest of the house just for a couple of lights.
Yeah.
A lot of things, I mean, what I've found over the years is, and I hate to explain this way to our clients, but, because a lot of people ask, hey, I'd like to have this done. We can do almost anything, just is it financially feasible to do that, So, I mean, is the cost worth what you want to have?
Right.
So I try to explain and walk through that process depending on what they want to do, so.
Do you do a lot of remodeling of homes to have folks be able to stay in them longer?
We have, yes. As far as mostly the showers we do, or like you mentioned, put a full bath downstairs versus having, just the traditional,
room.
The half bath. We've gone into closets to be able to add a shower. They lose the closet, but they gain a shower. We've moved laundry rooms to the first floor, so they can do. We've done whether it's as simple as putting in, a stackable small apartment style washer and dryer, to actually maybe taking a bedroom and making it into a laundry room now, so you're still on the first floor. So we've done that for a lot of younger couples just because it's convenient. So
I never thought about that, that you can reimagine the rooms as they are now. Mm-hmm. And maybe this little laundry room could be added to this half bath and be a bigger bathroom that I could walk into. Or what about doorways and so on? If someone's with a walker or in a wheelchair, are normal doorways okay? I know it's case by case, but in older homes, it seems like they're smaller.
Yeah. We can make them larger. Again, it'll depend on what we have to work with there. Usually, you need 3 feet to get a, normal
Okay.
size wheelchair through. So I know they make larger ones, but generally you need that. We can make them bigger. Again, it just depends on the cost, how much they want to spend to do that. But I would say most of the time, your interior doors in your house are 30-inch doors, so they're smaller.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I've
that, or we've been doing openings, creating a larger opening, taking that door out of there, and for example, barn doors are in.
Oh,
putting
I
a barn-
love
yeah,
those.
putting barn doors in if they have the room to slide it, and pocket doors too.
love
So,
pocket doors. So, oh my goodness, we have only 4 minutes.
Oh.
All right, so I want to stay in my house. I'm 68, and when would I contact you? Let me say my husband never wants to downsize. I do someday, but
Yeah.
he doesn't. So right now we're okay. But should I be talking to you formally about, hey, Shawn, I need a bedroom, I know, on the first floor. I need a bigger bathroom on the first floor so that I can get into a walk-in shower and so on. When would I do that? Right when I want to, or beforehand, and have you come and say, you're going to have some trouble here doing what you want to do?
It's generally up to, usually, most of the time we get the phone call once it's, I don't want to say too late, but when they're,
That's exactly
there's
why
very
I
few,
ask.
There's very few people that call us that are proactive on it, but every now and then we do get it, where they want to take the tub out and put the shower in, and so, but I'd say anytime you're, especially getting older, you get more nervous about, depending on how you're functioning, getting around, things like that, So at least, and I go on calls where people are just curious to see, what they can do, how much it's going to cost.
So I could
so.
call you now and say, no, we don't want to do it for a couple of years, but I want to see if this is a possibility.
Yeah. So, yeah, usually it depends on, I guess, how big the scope of the project is. I mean, moving bathrooms is a whole different thing than just taking your existing bathroom and making it into a shower.
Right.
So,
All right.
But yeah. So.
Thank you. Again, it's always that, do we downsize or do we stay? And it seems
Yeah.
like, I have to say, more and more people I know want to stay. And I think in Hudson we don't have a lot to downsize into right now.
Yeah.
And so I think people are just thinking, well, how can I reconfigure my home so that I don't have to climb stairs, so that I can use and frankly, not even have to go upstairs if I don't have to.
And the way real estate is now, you can get a great price for your house, but where are you going to move to?
That's exactly, that is exactly the problem.
So,
it's limited in Hudson, terribly limited. Thank you for being here. Can you believe how fast the time went?
It did go fast.
We have 1 minute left, and I'm just going to say goodbye to the audience. So thank you so much for watching North of 60. If you would like to get hold of Shawn, his contact information will be listed at the very end of the show. So keep watching for that, and you can give him a call. Thank you. Bye-bye.